My name is Judy Kremer, but I was Judy Richardson when I met Norman 40 years ago. We were tennis buddies, we dated, we even played in the grass courts tournament down at Tar Grove. I have funny stories about that. But the important stories have to do with my kids. He took my son, who was 8 years old, to visit me in the hospital when I had my knee surgery. He bought my son a watch. My son, I could never afford to buy him a watch. My ex-husband was not helping me support the kids. And when my son, who lives in California, has his own family now, heard about Norman's illness, he sent Norman a watch, a kid's watch, and a note saying, "I loved my watch, love, cry." But the other story I really want to share is Norman took Croy for his birthday out to dinner, and his best friend Stephen, we went to the circus. Stephen's father was an alcoholic and would never get to a circus, and neither would Croy, my son. Well, the first thing we did was stop at a kiosk, and Norman said, "Okay, boys, pick out whatever you want." So they each got a big poster. Then we sat down, and the cotton candy vendor came by, and Norman said, "Okay, boys, you're going to have some cotton candy to start, but we have some rules when you go to the circus." And right away I could see the look on their face like, oh, here we go. Anyway, he said, "You may not let any vendors go by without buying something. And you may not leave the circus until you're too sick from eating too much." And these two boys' eyes are like this. They had never experienced a human being like this before, let alone a father, a male role model. On the way home, Stephen said to me, "You know, Judy, I think if those posters had cost $100, Norman would have still bought them for us." I said, "You know, Stephen, I think you're right. I have more, but that's enough." Now you know, well, you knew what kind of wonderful man he was. And he talked about you, David, too. You're David, too, aren't you?
I'm Brett.
Oh, you're Brett.
Yeah.
David is your husband.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Your story is fascinating and touching. And I remember, whose show was it you were on?
He was on
He
Oprah.
was on.
I
That's
was like
who it
in
was.
the audience, but
Yeah,
Brett was the star.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was so
What a wonderful story. You know, I think about Norman and his life and how happy he was, but how proud he was of his family and how important his family was to him and his friends. I mean, people were so important to Norman, and I learned so many valuable lessons from him. And so did my children. My daughter's gone now, but she kind of considered him the father she never had. And so see what a blessing he was. He was a blessing to so many, but especially to me and my kids. I feel so blessed. And he will always be in my heart and here, always.